You probably noticed already that adjusters like to stall, not answer your questions, and try to push you and pressure you to settle. And you know you owed more, but you don't know how to ask the right questions to take back control and seek fair compensation. And if you don't ask the right questions, you could be out thousands of dollars in fair compensation from the insurance company. So in this video, I'm going to walk through 7 important questions to ask adjusters to take back control of the claim, to seek fair compensation, and to push the insurance company for just that, fair and proper compensation for your injury claim. Hi, I'm Ted Spaulding. I'm a Georgia personal injury trial lawyer. I've been practicing for over 20 years. And again, in this video, I want to walk through 7 crucial questions that adjusters absolutely hate you asking, that will flip the control of the claim back to you as the injury victim and help you secure fair and appropriate compensation in your case. So let's dive right into them. And I've written these down. These are so important when I was thinking through this topic. And the first is, ask the insurance adjuster, will you put in writing that your insured was at fault for the wreck? See, they hate that question, right? Because fault oftentimes is something they like to play around with. They don't quite tell you they're accepting fault or what they call liability, and they kind of just leave it out there, right? Because they might make an argument at the end that you're at fault, or at least you share some fault. Because in Georgia, every percent of fault they can put on you, even if not all of it, is another percentage of compensation you're not allowed to receive. So they might play games with that. So you want to be directly out there asking them to put it in writing that you, for instance, you agree with the police report. Put in writing that you agree with the officer who found your insured at fault, and they're at fault. They're the cause of the wreck. This puts them on the defense, folks. This is part of taking control. At the end of the day, if they won't do it, they won't do it. But it is showing them you're not messing around. You know how to protect your claim, and you're not going to be pushed around. So it starts to set that stage early on by asking that question. The next is the most important when you're handling a claim on your own, in my opinion, and that is ask how much insurance coverage they have. They don't want to answer this question. They don't want you asking it. The moment you ask it, they know you know what you're doing. That should exactly be why you want to ask this question. They don't want to give it up because it gives up leverage, but you got to know it. Why? Because these cases are all about insurance coverage. How can you properly negotiate when you don't know how much coverage is out there? In Georgia, $25,000 is the state minimum. That might be all they have. That's a big difference from them having $100,000 of coverage. So let's say your case is worth $100,000. You were massively injured, and you don't know how much insurance coverage is there. There is no point in asking for $100,000 in compensation if they only have $25,000. But you got to know that because it changes how you press them. If they only have $25,000 in coverage and you have a $100,000 case, you're saying, I cannot take anything less than the coverage that you have, the policy limit. And that is a big deal for insurance companies. So you got to know these terms of art, how to say these things. It starts with knowing how much coverage. You got to know it. Now, here's the trick. They don't have to tell you, unless you ask the right way. In Georgia, if you do a certified request for the coverage information to the insurance company, they are required to give it to you. If you just ask verbally, they're likely going to tell you, oh, well, we don't have to disclose that. Well, that's right and wrong. That's right if it's verbal, they don't. But legally they do if you ask it in a certified letter. So know that. And it also lets you know how sly of an adjuster or an insurance company are you dealing with. Why won't you just tell me what the coverage is? Aren't we all trying to be honest and fair here? The moment they aren't, you know what kind of adjuster and insurance company you're dealing with. And you're showing them you know what you're doing. Copy of the evidence is the third one. Ask them for a copy of all of the evidence. What is that? Pictures, video, witness statements. So let's go with pictures or video. This is a classic thing that they like to do, especially in lower impact wrecks, is say, hey, there's no way you could have been this injured because the pictures that you gave us of your vehicle don't show a lot of damage to your vehicle. So there's just no way. Well, number one, that's false to begin with. But number two, well, what does the other car look like? If you didn't take pictures at the scene, you need the copy of their photographs of their client's vehicle. What if it's all crumpled up? Well, that's your best evidence to say, yeah, mine wasn't, but look how damaged your client's vehicle was. Jury's going to see that and say someone could be really injured in a wreck with that crumple damage. They're not going to give it to you. Ask them for it. Then if they don't give it to you, you can use that against them later. When they come around and they say, yeah, we think it's a low impact. Well, but I don't have your photos. You refuse to give them to me. Why don't you give me your photos? I can't take your word for that and take what you're offering if you won't even give me the courtesy of seeing all the evidence. That's a powerful argument back to them. So asking for any of those things that they have, they may not give it to you, that's fine, but it's setting it up later. Number 4, how do you calculate the offer that you make? So when they give you an offer, each time you want to ask them, how'd you calculate that? That might reveal things. One, you'll see they might stumble and bumble and fumble and they don't have an answer. So you're putting them on defense. Number 2, might get them to answer that. Oh, well, we reduced your medical bills. This one we didn't take into consideration or that. Now you know how to argue back. But you won't if you don't ask the question. If you just accept they come up with $4,000 and you don't, that's below your medical, but you didn't ask the question, you're not putting them on defense to explain how they're doing it. So you got to ask them how they calculated it. Number 5, when they ask, and they will, for a recorded statement, I have another video on this, so look at this. You want to ask them, do I have to give a recorded statement? Now, you know, if you're watching my video, you do not have to give a recorded statement to the liability insurance company ever in Georgia. So you know the answer to the question, but you're testing them. You want to see what they say, because if they say, oh, yes, you are required, you know they're lying. You cannot trust anything they say from that point forward. If they're honest, they're going to say, no, you don't have to, but we would like to get one. And you want to see what their response is. Again, you're just putting them on defense by asking that. Similarly, do I have to sign this medical release? So one of the first letter you're going to get from the at-fault company's insurance is a welcome letter. Hey, we're the adjuster. We're so sorry. You know, we need to collect evidence. We need all your medical records and bills. Hey, we got this medical release here. Sign this, shoot it back to us. It lets us, we'll save you some time and we'll get all your medical records. Don't ever sign it, number 1. They do it with us as well. We never sign it. Don't give them that ability because they'll secretly go out and get 10 years worth of your medical records and all these things. You don't. You want to control the evidence, number 1. But you want to ask them, do I have to sign that? Again, putting them on defense. If they're honest, they're going to say, no, ma'am, you don't have to, but we're just trying to, get this evidence, blah, 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 whatever their excuse is. Again, then you just nicely decline. Thank you so much, but I'll get the medical records for you. No worries. I'm not going to sign that release. Lets them know that you know what's going on, and it's putting them in a defensive posture. They're having to explain why they're asking for these things. And 7th and finally, you want to say at some point when you're getting down to the end of negotiations and they're not moving, what if I don't take this offer and instead I hire an attorney? You're putting them on defense, a defensive move. Because what they should say is you absolutely could do that. But it's putting them on defense because you're going to hear they don't want you to hire an attorney. So see what kind of excuses they come up with. Oh, well, don't do that. Look. And it lets you see if they're bad negotiators. Because if they start to stumble with that and they're trying to get you not to, they have more money. They are just trying to get you to take a small offer and they've got more available. Let's just get a little bit of insight. If they feel confident, they're going to say, yeah, you don't have to take it. You can go hire an attorney. Now okay, that probably is their final offer. So it gives you some perspective on what they're doing, why they're doing it. So it's a real powerful question to ask in negotiations. What happens? And see what they do. It gives you some insight. So I hope these questions help you. Adjusters hate it. Before you go, though, I want to give you one more thing that you need to protect your case. In the next video, and we've titled it 5 Mistakes That Can Ruin Your Georgia Injury Settlement. We're going to expose 5 mistakes you may not realize you could make in the first 48 hours that could ruin your Georgia settlement and how to avoid those. Really important video to watch, and I'll see you over there.